Hello everyone and welcome to Credit Finance. In today's video, I bring you an update regarding the Social Security COLA 2024 prediction rises with latest CPI reports inflation data. So right now, as it sits in the middle of September, we are actually in the middle of the last month of the test period for the COLA for 24. That is the cost of living adjustment, which will dictate just how much of an increase Americans on Social Security benefits. So things like Social Security retirement, Social Security disability, SSDI survivors benefits, spousal benefits, and really all the different iterations of Social Security benefits. It's going to dictate how much those folks will get next year and increase in their benefits. So while we wait for the formal report to come out, which would not happen until October, we still have a little bit of time to speculate about what we think the increase will actually be. So today we are discussing what could the cost of living adjustment or COLA be for 24 and whether or not it will be the right amount of increase in benefit to help seniors through the next year of monthly cost. So now before we get started, if you are interested in latest news regarding stimulus, child tax credit, SNAP, P-EBT and everything in between, so make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below. So let's get down to the video. Let's start today with what we know about the COLA as it sits. First is that the goods foxed at the senior citizen leave expect that the COLA for 24 is going to be at 3.2%. which I think is pretty good. It seems like a pretty reasonable estimate, but we also have to consider how inflation has been fluctuating over this last year and has been on a pretty direct downward trend since January 1st, because a lot of the post-pandemic messes kind of all have sort of been cleaned up. In this year, the famous vast amount of dump truck of government money that got sent out to folks during the pandemic has pretty much all been spent also. Last, you mentioned that how inflation overall called by the Bureau of Labor Statistics is being recorded was changed in January to based it going down, which happens to be very politically favorable and convenient. Just saying, what this ultimately means is that the COLA for 2024 for focus on Social Security is almost 100% likely to be much smaller than it was last year when it went up to the highest amount that it really had been in the last 40 years at 8.7%. But last year was sort of unicorn year for the COLA because inflation peaked right when the COLA was being tested for in the third quarter of the year. They do it every year at the time, so July, August and September, which was not unusual. But what was unusual was the immediate drop afterwards, meaning that inflation went down well below that 8.7 and American retirees could still enjoy that 88.7% increase, while the cost of living everything else was not increasing as fast, basically putting more purchasing power back into their pockets, at least for once after multiple years of being really under compressment of by Social Security and the COLA. The downward descent of inflation after the COLA test was done last year has pretty much continued from October 2023, where was at a 5.9% measure with CPIW, which is the preferred metric of inflation or Social Security to peg the COLA to. Then in January 2023, it was at 6.3% and then dropped down to its lowest rate this year in June at 2.3%. All this was pointing to at that time a COLA that would probably very low, perhaps below 3% until July, and also here in August, where inflation has ultimately ticked back up to 3.4 where it is right now. So the long and short of the inflation talk is that inflation went down since last year and then is now bouncing back up, which means that the COLA could potentially not be as low as it was initially predicted earlier this year. So to keep with the mindset of the present right now as a snapshot of the COLA, if the COLA was based off the last 3-month average of June, July and August, so again, if it was taken right now, it would mean that average inflation for those 3 months would come out to 2.7%, which is still going to be above that 10-year average for the cola, which is at 2.5%, but it's still pretty low. So that is where the cola sits if it were to be taken right now, seniors and retirees across the country. And again, I will mention that a lot of the smart money is predicting that the cola for 2024 will be at 3.2%. So in order to get there through, that would mean that this month September CPIW inflation number would need to be at least at a minimum of 3.6% to get that 3-month average down to 3.2%. If they are correct with their estimations, so that is where we are right now. And let's do a little bit of prognosticating about where it could potentially go. So if we look at the trends for inflation and consider whether 3.6% is likely in September and thus at 3.2% cola when its average out is likely, let's see how that actually looks. So given the trend for inflation has started to bounce back up in the month of June, if we start with that month to month from June to August, we have seen that the inflation rate goes from 2.3% to 3.4% from this most recent report. That is an increase of 1.1 over 3 months. That also means that the average inflation rate over those 3 months was 36%. So if we apply that 36% average increase to 3.4% where it was in August, that inflation number that ultimately comes out to 3.76% increase in September. And then when we average that out, it is going to be slightly higher than the 3.2% that the Senior Citizen League is predicting at 3.25%. So it's almost right on the money. That's of course, if you look at it that way, another way to look at is going to be based on the velocity in which inflation is increasing, because although overall inflation increased by 36% over 3 months from June to July, it went up to 3%, but from July to August it went up to by 8%, which is noticeable increase in the velocity of inflation by 0.5%. So if we apply that, assuming that it stay increasing at the same rate, that would mean it would go up by 1.3%, putting the September inflation rate at 4.7%, which is considerable higher and would move that 3-month average up to 3.57%. Now lastly, let's look at what either of these two scenarios look like in terms of real dollars, cold hard cash, because ultimately while that is what it's about, percentage are good, but the cash is what really matters in the first model. If we take the 3 months average increase through September, which came out to 3.25%, that would mean that if we are using the current average Social Security benefit for the month of August, which is at $1,842 under this model, the prediction would mean that the total increase in benefit for the average Social Security beneficiaries would come out to $59.80 increase monthly. Also, when we look at the total benefit would be month to month, would mean that the average beneficiaries would see a benefit of $1970 based off the velocity of inflation. That's the second estimation, which put the September CPIW at 3.57. It means an $657 increase monthly in benefits on average, or putting that full monthly average benefit at $195.96, which is a little bit better overall. When I think about how the cola is related to the inflation, I go back and forth and whether or not it is actually is good thing that inflation goes up, because here when it goes up to does bring up the cola, and I think folks like having a larger cola, but the other thing is that it's potentially a bad thing because the cola is not really fair and accurate measurement of inflation, and it doesn't fairly and accurately compensate seniors and old Americans for the inflation. That's it measuring. So when inflation begins to go up, the cost of literally everything goes up, but the cola doesn't go up at the same rate, because it doesn't calculate everything. It only calculates a very specific basket of goods that are not even directly correlated to seniors, or at least not weighted out to the same cost that seniors have, that would be the CPI. It's a whole another video. So the question is, it actually better to have higher cola with higher inflation or a lower inflation with lower cola? That one I don't know. I just keep going back and forth. So that's all the update that I have for today. Remember to turn on your notification button to know when I have uploaded a new video. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time.